Juton.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is with immense pride that I bring my humble contribution to the debates on the Appropriation 2022-2023 Bill number 9 of 2022. I feel proud to be associated with such a national finance exercise, which is acclaimed almost in unison by all those who have a strong sense of concern for the welfare of every single countryman of this country. All things considered, Mr. Speaker, sir, at the very outright, I wish to congratulate the Honourable Prime Minister and the Honourable Minister of Finance, Dr. Padayachi, for bringing forward this Noachian arc to save the nation. Mr. Speaker, sir, we all know the precarious situations which the world is facing at the moment, with the apocalyptic effects of a Ukraine-Russia war coupled with ongoing pandemic across the world. Disruptions in supply chains and rising inflation are but sad realities. As stated by the World Bank last month, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has contributed to a historic shock to commodity markets that will keep global prices high through the end of 2024. Le monde souffre, Monsieur le Président, et tous les pays du monde sont plongés dans une angoisse collective. Et jamais l'art de gouverner n'aura joué un tel rôle dans l'histoire récente. And it is amid such unprecedented and daunting international economic conjuncture that this government, under the able leadership of the Honourable Pravin Kumar Jugnauth, has crafted a budget with the people at the centre. In fact, the very slogan of this budget is "With the people, for the people." Mr. Speaker, sir, since the budget presentation last Tuesday, there is widespread unanimity amongst the population, as well as from most of the independent observers, to the effect that, given these unprecedented difficult times, this budget comes as a buffet d'oxygen. In a series of praiseworthy comments published in the mainstream as well on social media, my attention was particularly drawn to what Mr. Jean-Pierre Daly, President of Business Mauritius, had to say. And as reported by Le Mauricien on Wednesday 8 June, I quote, "Ce budget amène un nouveau souffle aux plus démunis et à ceux qui souffrent le plus de la crise actuelle. Le budget a un fort axe social, mais il faut voir comment les employeurs vont mettre en œuvre ce plan. Ce volet social avait été évoqué dans notre mémorandum soumis au ministre et on est heureux que cet effort social ait été fait." Unquote. Monsieur le Président, même l'honorable Béranger a avoué qu'il y a eu des efforts, mais malheureusement, il qualifie aussi que ce n'est pas suffisant. Et même s'il est allé plus loin pour dire qu'il n'y a pas de budget digne de ce nom, et l'honorable leader de l'opposition a même osé demander au gouvernement d'avoir, je cite, un peu plus de professionnalisme, I can confirm that the people in general are happy, and I will come back to it. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I would say that it is tantamount to sheer bad faith that for lack of plausible arguments, they have recourse to unwarranted criticisms on the other side of the House. Mr. Speaker, sir, as a matter of fact, this budget is a defining moment in the present day of Mauritius, as it has the merit of laying down against all odds, and by the same token, both the blueprint and the foundation for an all-inclusive and sustainable economic development, whereby every single citizen of this country is being taken on board. As I said earlier, I have been gathering feedback on the budget from my constituents, from family, friends, and it is with utmost conviction that I can state haut et fort that people are, first, more than satisfied. Why? Because the provisions of this budget have exceeded their general expectations. given that the people are aware of the current global circumstances that seem so dark and murky. Second, the people are relieved. Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir, relief. You know why? Because we were braced for the worst. And they are today relieved by this proposal presented by Honorable Padayachi. Sincerely, they themselves say that they would never have thought that during such a difficult period, the Honorable Minister of Finance would have come up with so many measures to ensure that our citizens can lead a comfortable life. Indeed, Honorable Padayachi deserves our full respect and admiration, and I also seize this opportunity to congratulate him for being the recipient of the award as Best Minister of Finance in Africa. And coming back to the people's feedback on the budget, we're also grateful, Mr. Speaker, sir, grateful that this government, under the able leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister, has once again demonstrated its unflinching intent in being a caring and compassionate government. Honorable Omiya was referring to la langue du peuple. C'est ça la langue du peuple, Monsieur le Président. Et alors que certains font des prophéties pour dire qu'on finira comme Sri Lanka, on the other hand, during 2005 to 2009, the then government went as far as halting the distribution of bread in primary schools, and as Honorable Léjonga had stated, the common saying that was going around, reste du pain dans la bouche d'enfant. They had even decided to abolish subsidies on rice, on flour, and the SC, HSC examination fees. I fail to understand, Mr. Speaker, sir, how those who refused to increase the pension in 2014 are now criticizing this government, but actually has increased it by several folds. The choice of the people is clear, either to believe in those who introduced the NRPT, increased residential taxes, or this government who actually abolished the municipal tax. And I prefer not to mention the bonus stimulus packages of 2009 and les universités marrons. L'honorable Mohamed accusait ce gouvernement d'hypocrisie de la pire espèce. Well, I put it back to him and asked him to be honest about it. Fortunately, people are mature and understanding and can discriminate between those who are really by their side and those who are only playing dirty politics. And I firmly believe that our citizens are unlikely to fall into the trap of those. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to dwell on 4 aspects of a 2022-2023 appropriation bill. First, the series of inclusive measures. Second, the self-sufficiency in food items. Third, the series of upcoming infrastructural and other projects for my constituency. And fourth, the new taxation policy. Mr. Speaker, sir, Mauritius has always adhered by the Sustainable Development Goals, and in a step closer to achieve inclusion, the following measures have been taken. For instance, bedridden and severely disabled inmates of charitable institutions will benefit from the monthly incontinence allowance of 1,500, and most importantly, Mr. Speaker, sir, as Honorable Béranger said it earlier, this is one innovative and much awaited measure that those who suffer from a disability between 40 to 59%, they will now benefit from a monthly CSG disability allowance of 2,500 rupees. Moreover, in order to increase access to public places such as public beaches, there will be 40 floating beach wheelchairs and beach access mats provided to them. Mr. Speaker, sir, actually the plethora of measures for those under SRM are so many, and I will not cite each one, but it is good to note that around 18,000 households will benefit from an increased support under the social aid SRM scheme, and not to mention about the child allowance increase and also the baby bonus. Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, a famous quote from Mahatma Gandhi reminds me here, I quote, "The true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members," unquote. If this is the yardstick, Mr. Speaker, sir, then we as a government have gone very much overboard to care for our elderly people in such an exceptionally considerate manner. We fully understand that it is the role of the opposition to criticize, but as I said earlier, one needs to be honest to acknowledge that for the first time in the history of Mauritius, and after having undergone 2 years of miseries caused by the COVID pandemic and the unwanted and, of course, unexpected Ukraine-Russia war, the people are now being relieved. Mr. Speaker, sir, it will be an aphorism to say again that the Honourable Prime Minister is a man of his words. During the 2019 electoral campaign, he had pledged to grant our senior citizens a non-contributory pension of 10,000 rupees per month. And our opponents were clamoring on rooftops that he was making false and hollow electoral promises. They failed to understand that the Prime Minister was in fact charting a roadmap so that our elders could live a decent, financially independent and healthy retirement. Today, through this budget, the Honourable Prime Minister has redeemed the pledge he took towards those who have spent their whole lifetime towards building our nationhood. Indeed, all basic pensions are being increased by 1,000 rupees as from 1st July of this year, while those above 65 years will be granted an increase of 2,000 rupees. Hence, all senior couples under 65 years will be earning a total minimum of 20,000 rupees monthly, and those above 65 will be earning 22,000. As someone has rightly put it, for this measure, some senior households will be earning much more than what they were used to earn even while they were working. Besides the basic retirement pension, the basic widow's pension and the basic invalidity pension, these also will increase from 9,000 to 10,000 rupees. Moreover, beneficiaries of basic pensions will also henceforth benefit from the monthly child allowance of 1,700 rupees for dependent children up to 23 years attending university. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to quickly enlist the important social measures in this budget which will bring relief to each and every household. First, maintaining the retail price of pain maison at €2.60, the subsidy of 1.4 billion rupees to ensure that the pack of 25 kg of flour to bakers is still at 108 rupees 75 and not 700 rupees. 2 billion rupees to ensure that the price of a 12 kg cylinder of cooking gas is maintained at 240 rupees and not 680 rupees. To maintain the price of rice at 10 rupees 80 and not 26 rupee 20. And also the 500 million rupees given to the STC to supply essential products such as milk, edible oil and pulses at subsidized rate. Moreover, there will also be price control on other basic commodities such as pasta, wheat, cereal, infant food, baby and adult diapers. Eh bien, Monsieur le Président, les mesures annoncées s'ajoutent aux autres mesures audacieuses, innovatrices que ce gouvernement a portées. Et je dis bien ce gouvernement de Pravin Kumar Jugnauth, comme l'a dit si bien l'honorable Shakil Mohamed, is Pradhan Mantri ji, is Pravin Sarkar, tels que le salaire minimum, la negative income tax, l'éducation tertiaire gratuite, le Workers' Rights Act, parmi tant d'autres. Mr. Speaker, sir, just as food is a basic human necessity, a house is a fundamental right. As a caring government, massive investment is being made to ensure that every single citizen, irrespective of his or her socio-economic status, has a decent house. This is why, through this budget, massive investments are being made to ensure that every single citizen, irrespective of his or her socio-economic status, can have a decent house. Towards this end, no less than 13,758 social housing units will be constructed by 2024. Government's target is to drastically reduce all pockets of poverty and to ensure that every citizen lives in dignity with enough money for subsistence and a decent house. Mr. Speaker, sir, in a speech I made in this August House in August 2020 on the COVID bill, I had said that the country has been blessed to have a caring and compassionate government that goes to any length to ensure the welfare and safety of our citizens. The present budget, with so many social measures, is yet another example. And if at all it was needed to prove that we, as a government, will not allow ourselves to be deterred by uncouth, vile, and unjustified criticisms and attacks hurled by some honorable members on the other side of the House and by some self-styled modern-day Don Quixote outside the House. Ce qui m'amène, Monsieur le Président, au deuxième point de mon intervention, et en l'occurrence la crise alimentaire et l'autosuffisance de certains produits vivriers et marins. Il est triste de noter comment certains individus, animés par des sinistres desseins, cherchent à exploiter et à faire chou gras à partir des situations pénibles dont fait face l'humanité dans le monde tout entier. Ici, à Maurice, on a organisé des manifestations de rue afin d'inciter les gens contre l'État. Heureusement que la population, dans sa sagesse, ne s'est pas laissée berner par le piège tendu par ces tristes individus. S'il est un fait indéniable que les prix de l'essence et des produits alimentaires de base ont pris une tendance vertigineuse, il faut que nous ne perdions pas de vue, en notre qualité de petit pays insulaire, le fait que nous dépendons majoritairement de l'importation. Nous sommes ainsi tributaires des facteurs exogènes sur lesquels nous n'avons pas de contrôle. Mais en dépit de la situation économique extrêmement difficile, le gouvernement offre, à travers des mesures budgétaires bien réfléchies, des moyens pour compenser toute perte de pouvoir d'achat des consommateurs. Cela relève de la malhonnêteté intellectuelle pure et simple de ne pas reconnaître que l'effort remarquable que le gouvernement a fait lors de cet exercice budgétaire pour soulager et accompagner les foyers et les ménages mauriciens durant ces moments pénibles. Monsieur le Président, ne faisons point d'illusions. Le monde traverse en ce moment une des pires crises alimentaires depuis ces 50 dernières années. Et les experts en la matière avaient, depuis belle lurette, commencé à tirer la sonnette d'alarme. Le FAO a prévu que les dépenses mondiales d'importation alimentaire cette année devraient enregistrer une hausse de 51 milliards de dollars par rapport à 2021, dont 49 milliards du seul fait de la hausse des prix. And Mr. Speaker, sir, as recently as the 26th April 2022, the World Bank, through its senior economist Peter Nagel, had warned that the war in Ukraine is set to cause the largest commodity shock since the 1970s. According to him, increase in prices is starting to have a very large economic and humanitarian effect, and households across the world are already feeling the cost and living the crisis. And it is against this bleak backdrop that while alleviating the hardship of the population, this government is also introducing bold measures to incentivize greater scale of local production of vegetables, fruits, seafoods, and other items. We have understood that self-sufficiency is, to the extent it is practicably efficient, a major key to face the global food crisis and the price hike. The move from dependency to self-reliance is clear in government's vision, and the numerous measures from clauses 46 to 73 of the budget speech can confirm it all. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me now to come to a few measures for my constituency. It is with a renewed sense of purpose and dedication that this budget continues to place a greater emphasis and acceleration to the National Flood Mitigation Programme, of which some 3.8 billion have been earmarked for all constituencies and the next financial year, and an amount of 501 million has been dedicated for areas in my constituency of Bambou-Verrieux, Rivière-des-Créoles, Jonché, Grand Sable, Rosebel, Gros-Billot, Rivière-la-Chaux, Saint-Hubert, Saint-Hilaire, Nouvelle-France, Providence, amongst all. Let me first address that the whole region of the southeast will be looked into holistically, and that the coastal area that stretches over an extent of 21 kilometers, covering the villages of Rivière-des-Créoles and up to Grand Sable and Petit Sable, consultancy services have already been appointed, and the Road Development Authority has already embarked on some projects already, which consist of a grading of culverts and bridges at several areas, including at Grand Sable, at Jonché, Bois des Amourettes, Vieux Grand Port, which is near the museum and near the Wong Tak Chong store, and as well as near the Nunku family. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are so many other measures, like if I have to talk about the resurfacing works and other drain works, then the time will be over. So I just want to place on records that compared to what Honorable Navarre-Marie had said, that these are just effets d'annonce et que plusieurs endroits ont été cités, mais pas grand-chose accompli, and to tell her that vous vous trompez, madame. And this is why I wish to say that only in my constituency there are so many projects and so many things accomplished, being accomplished, and which will continue to progress. Mr. Speaker, sir, other major drain projects which have started in my constituency are Nouvelle-France, Rosebel, Gros-Billot, whereby I wish to inform that drain works in the region of Moscow Road, Gébert have already been awarded for an amount of 21.9 million rupees, and the works are expected to start by end of June 2022. Similarly, Ex-Railway Road and others will be covered in other phases. One other problem area in the constituency is also at Balisson, Union Park, whereby some 5 to 6 families have been really, really suffering, Mr. Speaker, sir. And this government and this Prime Minister wants to ensure that no family leaves what happened, we remember, during the flooding at Codon. So I am pleased to announce that a works order for an amount of 26 million rupees for demolition and reconstruction of new culverts at Balisson have started. Mr. Speaker, sir, this government policy has also been to provide for sports and leisure activities. And in my constituency, there have been a lot of recreational and wellness projects. A budget of 170 million rupees has been provided for the new fiscal year 2022-2023, of which 45 million will be earmarked for projects to be implemented under the Indian Assistance Grant. Amongst a few of them are the football ground at Bois des Amourettes, leveling and turfing of the football grounds at Banan and Cluny, construction of mini soccer pitches at Nouvelle-France, Lamus Road, Morcel-Maroki des Rosebel, Gros-Billot, New Grove, amongst many others. We have also completed amenities at the following sites: fixing of children's play equipment at NHDC Le Roseret, Balisson, fixing of children's play equipment and green space at Union Park, reconstruction of a volleyball pitch and the pétanque court at Cluny, open gym at Saint-Hubert and Saint-Hilaire, amongst several others. Mr. Speaker, sir, last but not the least, allow me to come to the bold taxation measures which are progressive to ensure a fairer distribution, and especially to help the middle income group have better standards of living. This is another bold and innovative measure which the Honourable Minister of Finance has come up with, whereby those earning between 25,000 rupees to 53,846 monthly, the income tax rate will be at 10% instead of 15%. And for those earning between 53,846 and up to 75,000 rupees monthly, the income tax rate will be 12.5% instead of 15%. Here, some 100,000 income earners will therefore have higher disposable income. And it seems, Mr. Speaker, sir, that members on the other side of the House are trying hard to develop their speeches, trying to entangle everybody into some baseless calculations. Well, I hope they will have the guts to commend this measure and this budget, which has provided immense support to those families. Honorable Mohammed had said that these social measures are not fair. Then why didn't he dare to propose such bold reforms when the Labour government was in power? Monsieur le Président, c'est facile de dire, de parler, de critiquer ou de dire pas assez. Mais qu'en est-il d'agir? Notre Premier ministre, lui, l'honorable Pravin Kumar Jagnat, est un homme d'action. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I conclude, I have to say that we as a government are dauntlessly taking the bull by the horn to alleviate the people's woes and miseries. And it is sad to see how some people have no qualms whatsoever to exploit and thrive on the hardship situation and to incite people towards insurrection. Mr. Speaker, sir, the anarchists and the new breed of fascists out there can spend all the time and their ill-gotten resources to harm, to vilify, or to undermine this government in a bid to pursue the hidden and sinister agenda. They can keep on with their sterile demonstrations and their vulgar slogans against us as a government. But we as a government, under the guidance and leadership of the Honourable Prime Minister Pravin Kumar Jagnat, we will continue to relentlessly work towards bolstering the all-inclusive economy that we have introduced since we were sworn in office. We shall never falter in our mission to keep on improving the welfare and well-being of every single citizen of this country, as vividly demonstrated in this budget. We shall do so not only during this present mandate, Mr. Speaker, sir, but through future ones too, for we have absolutely no doubt that the hollow and vulgar slogans of these anarchists and fascists will boomerang against them. They will inexorably dwindle into oblivion, while we shall stay here as a caring and compassionate government for several more mandates to come. This is my unwavering faith in the wisdom of the people of this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mes chers collègues, Monsieur le Président, le gouvernement, dans ce budget, a fait un pas. Les 1000 roupies